I'm Jessica Sachs, and thank you for being here and working with me this semester. So I want to introduce you to the presentation that we're going to talk about. It's education in Dover Public Schools, which we are here right now.
Okay.
I chose Dover High School, and for you as my stakeholder being a pre-algebra math teacher here. So Dover is located in Dover, Arkansas. It's like a small rural community with 1,400 people.
Tiny.
Yeah, and so the first graduating class was all females in 1923. Each year they have about 350 students graduate. There's about 5 schools within Polk County, which are Hector, Atkins, Pottsville, Russellville, and now Dover. So the purpose of this project was to find better ways to incorporate the curriculum in better ways and making sure each student tests well within like the grades that they're here.
Right.
So the data that we collected and we analyzed the strengths and weaknesses of the system here just to see how they're doing and everything like that. So the problems identified were changes in curriculum, the student and teacher interaction with like one-on-one attention, the curriculum and statewide testing, so the AP and concurrent classes, which we will talk about later, and then the ACT Aspire, which is the statewide test. The limited resources include computers, books, laptops, classroom supplies, just in general. So here are some technologies used in the classroom, which nowadays technologies everywhere. Everybody has a phone, everywhere like that.
Everywhere.
So the 4 things that I listed that were really common in classrooms are the interactive whiteboard, which the document camera, the multimedia projector, and computer and laptops.
Right.
And then so the ACT Aspire, which we mentioned before, is like the statewide standardized test. It focuses on the 5 subject areas of math, English, reading, and writing for grades 3 through 8, and then early high school 9 through 10. And it really kind of like captures everything within that learning and see where they test among other students.
And I know it's supposed to be a good indicator for what they'll make on the ACT.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean,
And then it like tests if they're ready for college and where they stand.
And I know this is the second year that we've used it in the past. Well, the second year it's been incorporated because the years before that was the PART test. Have you ever heard about the PART test?
Yeah.
So we're thinking this is going to stay around just because ACT is not going anywhere that we know of.
Always, yeah. And then, so the different research methods we used were the teacher and student questionnaires. The teacher and student questionnaires were made up of like 11 questions. They were clearly different because the questions had to be kind of designed for each subject. And then observations that I spoke with teachers and students, and then also meeting one-on-one with the teachers and students and kind of getting feedback on them from the questionnaires and all that. So here's the first teacher questionnaire. So it asks them just some general questions about like the school, the grade level they teach, how many classes they teach a day, and then it kind of goes into do they teach to test or do they teach to learn? That's a big thing nowadays to know if the students are actually retaining the information. And then it kind of goes into how well prepared the students, or they feel their students are prepared for the ACT Aspire. And then the student questionnaire was also some generic information, and then goes into how prepared they feel for college and the upcoming years that they have here at Dover. Also, like if they are retaining the information and can they carry it with them throughout the years that they, are learning here and also in college. Yeah. And so they also talked about that. And then a more common question that we talked about was the AP classes and the concurrent classes. So the AP classes are classes that you take, and then they have to test at the end of the class to see if they can actually obtain credit. And then the concurrent classes is they take them knowing that they received the credit once they finish the class. And so we talked about how they feel that benefits them, and then what changes do they think they need to be made in the classroom. So when we go over the results, Dover's clearly providing really good, excellent education to students.
That's good to know. I mean, we like to think we are, but the kid, it's just
It's sometimes
hard
you just don't know.
sometimes.
Yeah.
It's
And
hard.
so teachers and students bounce from each other, and you just never know. And so the testing we got from students, 15 out of 16 students feel that they are being taught relevant material and they are understanding it. And then 12 out of 16 say that AP courses are better than concurrent, which I found interesting because usually concurrent classes they think, once you finish it, you get it without having to test.
And you're done with it.
Yeah.
They don't want to mess with it anymore.
Exactly. And then 13 students feel that they are prepared, 1 is unsure, and 2 are not prepared for college. So that's a good relative like a feel with 16 students that majority of them feel prepared.
That's better than I was thinking.
Exactly. And then teachers' results are 56% of them, they don't have enough resources. And I know it kind of bounces between do you always want more than what you have? But clearly the resources right now are working, and it's a process, so it's going to take a while for that to like adjust and be brought more into the classroom. Teachers spend about 2 to 14 hours a week of planning, which is about 7 hours a week.
Yeah.
And then overall, teachers express that their students are prepared for the ACT Aspire. And then we go into some graphs. So the teacher questionnaire, one of the questions was, do you feel that you have enough time to plan? 10 of them said no, 3 of them said sometimes, and 3 of them said yes. So clearly teachers feel that they need more time to plan, whether it's during the day or after school,
Right.
because they only get that one planning period.
Yeah, most of us here will have that one planning period that you meet with your grade level, but I mean, overall, some teachers teach 4 or 5 classes, and if
Right.
you've got 1 hour, that's not enough time to plan
Make
for
sure,
the rest of
yeah, all the classes that you
I would think majority are gonna say no.
Yeah.
But-
So that was the result we got on that. And then, do you have enough resources needed to teach? 56% of them said yes, and then the other half said not so much. Like,
And I think to attest to that, I know that each content, so each math, each English, each science, they all have one Chrome cart that can be shared amongst, and you can sign them out and everything like that. But with 130 kids, you know,
Right.
and you've got 4 different math classes among 3 grades, it's kind of hard to say, hey, I need it on this date.
exactly.
And you've got somebody else doing a project
and
or
making
whatever.
sure that you have equal
Yeah.
time for each class.
Right. And
Exactly.
how many teachers were surveyed?
16.
16.
16 teachers and 16 students. So then the student questionnaire said, one of the questions was, do you feel like you're retaining the information being taught, which is a big thing, because
Oh, yeah.
if they're not learning anything, then what's the point?
Mhm.
9 of them said yes, 5 of them were unsure, and 2 of them said no.
Mhm.
So on the scale of things, it's pretty good that they feel like they are understanding.
For
and
high school
doing it.
kids especially,
Right.
when they're more interested in who knows what
Yes.
than learning what's being taught.
Right, so that was a good result, and
Okay.
it's looking that they understand everything. And then the ACT Aspire, so on the teacher side, the teacher said that, you know, I feel like they are prepared,
Right.
and that was the majority. And then 56% of them said, yes, I'm prepared, and then it kind of split halfway in between, I'm unsure, and
And
no.
no,
Yeah. So on the scale of things, teachers and students kind of feel the same way about it,
Mhm.
in majority that they feel that they are prepared.
I think what does help, you can switch to the back arrow. I think what does help is, with the ACT Aspire, there's 3 interims, so it's like 1 9 weeks, we're gonna take a practice one,
Right.
second and third, and so they kind of, not blow them off, but I do think it gets them ready for the big one, because when the big one gets here, it's like they all kind of take what all those they've learned from them, and then they hopefully will just knock it out.
Right.
Last year was okay, so.
Definitely, and then it goes into the ACT performance. So the ACT Aspire leads them into the ACT. Among like Arkansas in general and Polk County, and then comparing it to Dover. So the medium is like 19.2 within Polk County as a whole. But then in Arkansas it's around 18, 18.4, and then Dover is about 18.5. So they're kind of lower, but you know there's always room for improvement.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like now that the ACT Aspire is now incorporated in the learning, it'll only go up from there.
Yeah.
Then the graduation rate at Dover is higher than the actual Arkansas median. So
Right.
which is, there's more kids graduating here than, you know, all over in Arkansas.
And through a district, we do like district goals and district expectations, and we have 100% graduation rate. So
That's awesome.
that's one of our district-wide goals.
Yeah,
that we
from
have.
2013 and 2015, I mean, 2014 was
We
the
were-
high rate was 97%,
Right.
and then it kind of plateaued at 87, but ultimately, that's majority of the students
Mhm.
graduating. So, once we like researched all that and got information, the recommendations, so feasible, like, are things that we're going to do, like the changes here at Dover, like, will they make sense? So, are there ways of better, like, curriculum and standards in education? So the advantages of that are like increasing the stats of the ACT and the graduation rates, and like ultimately that's the end goal. So that's definitely feasible to get
Yeah.
more kids graduate and be like ready. So the cost for like resources and everything like that, is there enough money to make the proper changes? So funding options, if there isn't, is fundraising, community involvement, and state grants. Applying for state grants may take a while, so that's like probably one of the last things that would be on the mind. But like fundraising and community involvement, since it's such a small town, everybody around here is really involved with everything.
Mhm.
So that would make more sense. And then, so the cost to change things in a year is about $200,000, which is quite a lot. But I think over a year,
Yeah.
if you can, you know what I mean, and small changes here and there may
Right.
make an overall big difference.
Yes.
And then urgency, so the time frames for this need to happen, and then some changes that can be made. So, like I said, it's like a long process.
Mhm.
Education can't just like flip a switch.
No.
Like it's over the years, and then so the whole purpose is to make changes each year and make sure goals are met, and then
Mhm.
at the end result, like the funding will make changes and they will occur
Come
sooner.
over time.
Yeah.
Right.
And so like the end goal and everything, once everything's finished and changes are made, the end goal would be graduation.
Absolutely, yeah.
So each student graduates and is provided a good education, but
Of course, yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you've highlighted everything that as a district we talk about with the standards, like we've got to get more prepared on what the test is going to offer, but we've got
Right.
to teach so that the kids learn, not just for the test. And then money-wise, every school district is different, and so any kind of ideas, suggestions, it's going to come over time. But again,
Exactly.
ultimately, you've got it. That's what we need, and we need them all to go out and do better things. So that's awesome.
well, hopefully the changes will be made sooner or
Mhm.
later, but thank you for
Yes.
helping me this semester, and it was really
Of
fun.
course, yeah, it's good working with you. Thank you.